Other interesting business news, you have General Motors to lay off 1,300 employees as their CEO Mary Bara kills the Chevrolet Camaro, one of the best sports cars out there. Unfortunately, even though they doubled their sales this year through that awesome vehicle, a good old V8 with a manual transmission, a rare, beautiful thing in and of itself. You can't beat the experience of driving with a stick shift. I can't emphasize this enough. Highly recommend you go out and buy one while you still can. Well, and GM also did have a V6 for the Camaro, though it still had stick shift, and I believe they even had an inline 4, interestingly enough. But it was, for many people, a great vehicle. American muscle, some would say, at its peak. It was the Pony Wars. You had the Chevrolet Camaro, the Ford Mustang, the Dodge Challenger, all going neck to neck for the most horsepowers under the hood. Who could drift the most? Who could hit the most people at a Cars and Coffee? Well, the Mustang would always win that contest, but nevertheless, great, fun, high horsepower vehicles. But General Motors, in their infinite wisdom, wants to go all EV. Mary Bara says, we're going to go full EV for Cadillac by 2030, full EV for the whole fleet, aka Buick, General Motors, GMC, as well as Chevrolet, by 2035. The consumer be damned. Who cares what they want? What does the government want? Well, we're going to do that. So they're killing the awesome Camaro, and they're going to turn it into, which my heart breaks a little bit just hearing this. I can barely say it. General Motors is going to turn the Camaro, a beloved pony car, a muscle car for decades, a staple of Americana. They're going to turn it into an EV two-door SUV. Because I can't help but think they have no mental capacity for creativity. They're just mentally vacuous. Why think of new names and new brands? You can just recycle the old ones that people have built a long relationship and a trust, and they love that specific car. Let's just rip off that logo and throw it onto another vehicle. A vehicle that's the antithesis of the Camaro. It's going to be an SUV and an EV. And of course, it'll only have two pedals, also known as an automatic transmission, also known as a soulless, boring existence I couldn't fathom. Or I can't fathom. I wouldn't give that to my greatest enemy. Even I would not be that cruel to give them an automatic transmission vehicle. I shudder at the thought of having to drive one myself. Now, thankfully, I've been very privileged. I've only ever owned manual transmission vehicles, aka a stick shift, aka the third pedal. The most fun you'll ever have, bar none. Now, going back to the actual article, this comes to us thanks to Fox News, which the news is, another headliner, Fox News is still somehow in business. Somehow. They still have 21 presumable people who tune into the programs. Now, granted, most of them are perhaps inebriated by Bud Light, but nevertheless, allegedly, those people still tune in. Now, this comes to us thanks to Stacy Price, and she noted that GM will lay off 1,300 workers across 2 Michigan plants as that vehicle production of the Chevrolet Camaro comes to an end. Now, it looks like, specifically, the automaker said it will cut 369 jobs at the Lansing Grand River Assembly/Stamping Facility, where GM currently produced the Chevrolet Camaro muscle car there. The cuts will happen in phases that will begin January 1st and end in March, according to the notice released by General Motors. And these cuts are also related to the GM's October announcement in the delaying production of the 2 all-electric pickups by the end of the full year, transferring nearly 1,000 workers to other GM facilities in Michigan, which, electric pickup, I can't think of a dumber idea for most pickup owners. Again, if you do not haul anything, then sure, okay, it makes sense. If you use a truck as intended, which I understand not everyone does, that's where the physics get a little squirrely, and it really just, with the current tech we have now, little asterisks I have to say, because of course technology moves very quickly. By tomorrow we might have a very magical new EV battery and technologies that will enable huge range and towing capacity with very quick charge times. We don't have it yet, which is why I always say if you want a good old truck, just get a good old diesel truck with 3 pedals and a manual transmission, of course. So it'll be interesting to see as GM continues to evolve, into a new EV company, how many jobs will be displaced versus how many new jobs are created. And it'll be interesting to see, I know their leadership is perhaps inebriated at best, but their sales figures for the Camaro this year doubled compared to last year. Consumers want it. They love it. and yet the government is increasing the tailpipe emissions, making it near impossible to make V8s, and these companies are just shooting themselves in the foot, leaning more and more into EV, where other companies have much better technical acumen, they have much better workforces. Tesla doesn't have the unions weighing them down or shooting themselves in the high-heeled boot like Ron DeSantis. Tesla also doesn't have the huge overhead of the dealerships, which is detrimental to the customer experience in many ways since they increase the cost. And when it comes to EVs, they can't do much because, again, you need a different skill set. It's a huge revolution in the automotive community. And at the end of the day, it'll be interesting to see what happens to the end users and how many people really enjoy these new vehicles. But fortunately, for people who actually prefer to drive and appreciate the unique experience, which is a manual transmission and a good old V8 and a good old American muscle, it is a sad day indeed as those jobs are lost and the factory is starting to shut off its lights to an icon of the automotive community, one of the best muscle cars of the era. Unfortunately, the Pony Wars have been lost, as the Camaro is turned into a bastardized two-door EV SUV. The Charger is going to be a electric vehicle with the possibility of having a straight six, as opposed to a good old V8 Hemi, which it's known for. It appears the Ford Mustang did indeed win the Pony Wars. The only one to never stop production, where Camaro had in the past before, and the only one that seems to be living on, having a few good ones left, and having a real awesome manual transmission and a V8, as every vehicle should have by default. But as of today, it seems as though the Ford Mustang has won the Pony Car Wars. Thank you again, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of December, so if you click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a comment is a great way to give me some feedback and let me know what I could be doing better to improve the quality of the show. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.